For centuries, humans looked at Saturn and felt something close to wonder. That reaction was correct, but the reason behind it was not. What we were admiring, those perfect rings, that golden calm, that sense of something ancient and undisturbed floating in the dark, was never what it appeared to be. The beauty is real, but it is the beauty of destruction. Behind Saturn's elegant appearance lies a history of upheaval. Each striking feature was shaped by violent forces, preserved by chaos, or is gradually falling into decay. The closer you look, the more the peaceful giant reveals itself to be something else entirely. And it all starts with the rings. From Earth, the rings look solid, smooth, like a disk of polished glass wrapped around the planet. They are one of the most immediately beautiful things visible in the night sky through even a basic telescope. But that impression doesn't survive closer inspection. The rings are made of countless individual fragments, ice and rock ranging from dust-sized particles to chunks the size of houses. Each one orbiting Saturn independently and constantly colliding. What looks like stillness from a distance becomes structured chaos up close. Across a span of about 280,000 kilometers, somewhat smaller than the distance from Earth to the Moon, impacts occur continuously throughout the system. But the origin of those rings is stranger than the rings themselves. A widely supported theory among planetary scientists is that Saturn's rings formed after a moon drifted within the planet's gravitational danger zone and broke apart. Every large body has what is called a Roche limit, a boundary inside which tidal forces become stronger than the gravity holding an approaching object together. Cross that boundary and the planet does not pull you in. It pulls you apart. The moon would have been dismantled over time, its materials spreading outward into the flat disk we see today. What looks like Saturn's crown is the debris of a world that no longer exists. The rings stretch nearly 280,000 kilometers in width, yet in most places they are only about 10 meters thick. To grasp what that means, imagine a sheet of paper. Now scale it until it spans more than 250,000 kilometers across, while its thickness rises to no more than the height of a room. That is the astonishing ratio of width to thickness. A structure of almost incomprehensible elegance, built entirely from the shattered remnants of what Saturn once destroyed. And now that masterpiece is dissolving. Saturn's gravity continuously pulls ring material down into the planet in a process known as ring rain. At the same time, small shepherd moons, tiny moons that orbit near or within the rings, help shape and confine the ring edges by nudging particles inward or outward through their gravity. In other words, the rings are being slowly worn away from both sides at once. Over very long periods of time, they may disappear entirely. On timescales measured in hundreds of millions of years, the rings are not permanent. Humanity exists during a brief window in Saturn's history, one in which the rings are still clearly visible. What feels fixed and eternal is, in reality, temporary. The beauty we admire is fleeting, and we arrived just in time to see it. Far beyond the main rings, largely invisible unless light catches it at exactly the right angle, lies a vast faint structure called the E-ring. Unlike the main rings, it is not ancient debris. It is being actively created right now, fed by a moon that turned out to be one of the most significant and unsettling discoveries in modern planetary science. Enceladus, one of Saturn's moons, is small, roughly 500 kilometers across, small enough to fit inside a single country. From a distance, it looks pristine, perfectly white and frozen. the kind of object that appears in catalogue listings without being discussed. That stillness is an illusion. Beneath that flawless frozen surface, Saturn's gravity is doing to Enceladus what it once did to the Moon that became the rings, pulling at it, flexing it, squeezing it continuously as it moves through its orbit. That constant deformation generates heat deep in the interior. Heat that has nowhere to go except upward, through fractures in the ice near the South Pole, cracks nicknamed tiger stripes, where it erupts as enormous plumes of water vapor blasting hundreds of kilometers into space. The most peaceful-looking moon in the solar system is being torn apart from the inside. NASA's Cassini spacecraft flew directly through those plumes and sampled what was inside. It found water, salts, silica particles, hydrogen, and complex organic molecules, carbon-based compounds of the kind associated with the chemistry that precedes life. Beneath the ice lies a global ocean of liquid salt water, kept from freezing by the same tidal violence generating those plumes. Nobody has claimed there is life in that ocean, but every ingredient that would be required appears to be present. Liquid water, heat, organic chemistry, mineral interaction, on a moon whose surface gives no indication that any of it exists. What looks like frozen silence is hiding an ocean. Then there is Titan. Saturn's largest moon presents something deeply disorienting. It has a thick atmosphere, denser than Earth's. Clouds drift across its sky. Rivers have carved channels through its surface. Vast lakes stretch across its northern regions. From orbit, the structure takes on a familiar shape, one that feels quietly comforting. Until you look more carefully. The rain that falls on Titan is not water, but liquid methane. Its rivers have been carved by the same cold fluid, and the lakes near the North Pole, one even larger than the Caspian Sea, are filled with a mixture of methane and ethane in liquid form. Titan's surface temperature sits around -179 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, water is not a liquid. It is rock-hard ice. The familiar-looking landscape is built from substances that would be toxic to every known form of life on Earth. Even the dunes are wrong. Covering Titan's equatorial regions are vast fields of dark material. Not sand, but complex hydrocarbon particles produced when sunlight breaks molecules apart in the upper atmosphere and they drift down to the surface. From orbit, they look like desert dunes. Up close, they are made of something closer to the byproduct of an industrial process. Everything on Titan follows Earth's logic, with entirely alien ingredients. The moon that looks most like home in the outer solar system is the one that would kill you fastest. The beauty of the familiar is a trap. Titan is Saturn's most elegant deception. A world designed by chaos to look like somewhere you might recognize. Above Saturn's North Pole sits something that has no satisfying explanation. A hexagon. A six-sided geometric storm system roughly 30,000 kilometers across. Wider than 2.5 Earths placed side by side. At its center rotates a massive vortex. The whole structure has persisted for at least 4 decades of continuous observation and maintains its precise geometric shape with a stability that looks less like weather and more like architecture. Nature does not typically produce hexagons at this scale. Storms are circular. Vortices are circular. The geometry of rotating fluids defaults to curves. Yet, here, locked above Saturn's North Pole, is a near-perfect six-sided figure that has not meaningfully changed in 40 years. The leading explanation involves jet stream dynamics, a fast-moving polar current interacting with slower air at lower latitudes in a way that creates a standing geometric wave. Laboratory experiments with rotating fluids have reproduced hexagonal patterns, which confirms the physics is plausible. But here is what that explanation actually means. The most geometrically precise large-scale structure in the solar system, something that appears designed and intentional, is ultimately the product of chaos. By colliding air masses and pressure differentials and atmospheric turbulence operating over decades, the beauty of the hexagon is not separate from the violence underneath it. The violence is what makes it. Saturn's most elegant feature is a storm. It has not changed. It will not explain itself. Below the hexagon, deeper into the atmosphere, Saturn stops resembling anything with a surface and becomes something harder to picture. There is no ground. The atmosphere thickens continuously as you descend, gas transitioning into liquid hydrogen under pressures that increase with every kilometer. Winds at the cloud level reach speeds of approximately 1,800 kilometers per hour, among the fastest measured anywhere in the solar system. To feel that scale, the strongest winds ever recorded in a hurricane on Earth reached around 345 kilometers per hour. Saturn's atmosphere moves at more than 5 times that speed, continuously across a planet so large that Earth fits inside it with room remaining. There is no calm layer underneath. The turmoil runs all the way down. Deeper inside Saturn, the pressure becomes so extreme that hydrogen may turn into a metallic, electrically conducting fluid. In this state, it moves and churns in ways that help generate the planet's powerful magnetic field. Even closer to the core, temperatures rise dramatically, hot enough to exceed those found on the surface of the Sun. The planet that looks golden and serene from a distance contains, at its heart, conditions more extreme than the star it orbits. Roughly every 30 Earth years, something in that atmosphere triggers a catastrophic event called the Great White Spot. Material from deep below erupts upward through the cloud layers. Lightning flashes through the atmosphere. A disturbance that begins as a small, bright point grows within weeks until it encircles Saturn's full circumference. A storm system wrapping entirely around a planet that looks, from Earth, like the most peaceful object in the sky. The 2010 event was observed in detail by Cassini. It lasted for months. The golden calm erupts. Then it settles again. And for another 30 years, the waiting begins. After leaving Earth in 1997, Cassini spent nearly 7 years crossing the solar system before entering orbit around Saturn in 2004. For 13 years, it orbited the planet, conducted 160 close flybys of its moons, flew through Enceladus's plumes, mapped Titan's surface through its opaque atmosphere, and returned data that transformed everything scientists thought they understood about this system. In 2017, Cassini had reached the final chapter of its mission. Fuel was running low, and every remaining maneuver mattered. An uncontrolled Cassini drifting through the system could eventually contaminate Enceladus or Titan, worlds that might harbor conditions for life, with microbes from Earth. The only responsible option was to end the mission deliberately. Cassini was directed into Saturn's atmosphere. It transmitted data as it descended, the signal weakening as the atmosphere thickened around it until contact was lost. The spacecraft that spent 13 years uncovering Saturn's secrets became part of Saturn itself. For 4.5 billion years, Saturn has remained in orbit around the Sun. The rings it wears today may not have existed for most of that time and may not survive much of what remains. The hexagon has been spinning above the North Pole longer than any human civilization has existed. The ocean beneath Enceladus has been there long enough for chemistry to have had time, billions of years of time, to do something with what it contains. When you see Saturn in the night sky, that steady, golden point of light, calm and unchanged against the dark, you are looking at something that has been violent since before Earth had oceans. The beauty is real. It always was. But now you know what it is made of.